Now, lifeadministration.com presents the Life Administration Podcast. Here are your hosts, Leslie Loftus and Ryan Taylor.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Life Administration Podcast. My name is Ryan Talon, and with me, as always, is
Leslie Loftus.
You almost jumped the gun there.
I did almost jump in because you slowed down.
I did.
See, we've got kind of a rhythm going here, and you slowed down on me.
Well, you know what? You kicked me out of my hosting chair last week, and so now, I don't know what to do. I don't.
What,
even
you
know
wanted
how
to talk about sewing?
I would, like I said, I would have been woefully inept at that conversation. I knew I was out of my league. I think the word was it a jump or I don't know. Y'all get to listen to that. I mean, it was like y'all were speaking a different language to me. I was like, okay, so you know that when we talked about cooking, it was one of those things where you have to like, oh, you don't know what that word is. So it's really just a complicated way to say hole in the pants or something like that.
Right,
you know
exactly.
what I mean?
I believe that was mise en place.
Yeah,
everything
right.
in its place.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
So you have to like go and like check out these words or like blanching, right? Is always the one I think of. Like, what is blanching, right? But it's the same kind of thing. Like there was terminology down there. So if you didn't check out last week's episode, again, that's one that you want to check out on YouTube. I just hit the mic. Sorry about that, y'all. That's one you want to check out on YouTube because there's a lot of visual sort of stuff going on there.
That one and stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure. So, but we're moving on.
Yep, literally.
We're moving on up.
Moving down the highway.
Yeah, that one's definitely staying in. There's a new.
Actually, it's moving down the road, isn't it? It's that Muppet Show one.
I don't know because you sang like half of a bar to a song I didn't
badly,
know.
Yeah, so, exactly. It's a Muppet Show song.
Yeah. But today, so we're on this, like over the past couple episodes, we've been sort of talking about the process of home buying. We've talked about mortgages. We've talked about the timeline. We've talked about really this like overall encompassing thing. And so, and this is sort of, I don't want to say it's the last thing because I'm sure there might be something else that comes up at some point, but really now the nuts and bolts of moving, right? Which is, and you can look up a lot of different surveys about this, but it is the second most stressful thing that you will ever go through in your life is moving. Number one typically is a death in the family of a very close relative. Number two is moving. So
pain.
Okay,
Yeah,
breathe.
Moving is awful.
Yep.
Because it breaks all of the stuff that we talk about in life administration about how you have rhythms and you have place areas and zones in your house, places for things. You generally know where your keys are. You generally know where the snack food is. You know that every Tuesday you do laundry. Moving breaks all of it.
Yes.
And makes you pay for breaking all of it. And it takes you weeks, maybe months to get those things back set up again. Moving's painful.
So, as you might imagine, we do a sound check before we start, right?
Oh, I'm in trouble.
You're not in trouble. Okay. You're not in trouble. But I'll just tell you that my meter spiked up when we started talking about moving, that you're a little riled up about this. And
I'm in the middle, like one of the reasons we're doing this episode is that I'm getting ready to do a move, not from this house, but different house. I'm getting ready to do a move next Thursday. Yeah. So a week from today. Yeah. Next week we're recording on Mondays because I'm going to be closing and moving. Yeah. Yes, I'm a little stressed.
Stressed. So my statement proves correct. And I have a lot of experience moving badly, I would say, in my
mistakes or learning experiences. Totally.
Yes.
And you've made plenty of them.
Yep, I sure have.
Ditto.
So, so you guys know, just a little quick history is that from when I was 23, I moved from Rhode Island to Minneapolis. Then a year and a half later, I moved from Minneapolis to Columbus, Ohio. 6 months later, I moved from Columbus to Indianapolis.
And these, by the way, aren't college dorm kind of moves.
No.
Right? This is not. I have my stuff can fit in the back of a decent sized station wagon moves. These are real moves.
Yep. And then, so then from Indianapolis to Austin, Texas, was there for about a year and a half. then moved from there to Portland, Oregon, was there for 3 or 4 years, I want to say. And then from there, now back to Texas. So, I mean, like there was a time in my life where 8 months didn't go by where I wasn't moving. I mean, it was just enough to get set. I mean, it was a part of my job at that point in my life. And so I never knew, right? It could be 6 months. It could be 2.5 years. It could be 5 years. So I had no idea. So I always went into it with like,
stressful.
Yeah, I always went into it thinking like, I'm going to be here for a while, you know? And rarely was I there for more than 2 years. So I have things to say about moving.
Excellent.
Okay.
Excellent.
So with that being said, we're going to follow our schedule here. We're going to follow our segment guideline. And Leslie, why don't you kick us off?
Okay. So segment one, we usually like to do kind of an overview. Let's look at the timeline.
Yep.
So how do you actually put together a move? How do you plan it? Let's look at the map. And let's assume, since we were just doing the mortgage, let's piggyback this on our finding a home, getting a mortgage kind of episode. So, it'll go a little bit similar with rents and stuff like that. But basically, there's usually a lag time from the time that you get mortgage approval, and it takes the bank a few weeks to do the title searches, put together the paper, all this kind of stuff. And weddings are a lot like this. So you spend 6 months planning for the wedding, and then 3 weeks before the wedding, everything that needed to get done in advance already needed to get done. And the stuff that needs to get done the week of, it's too early to do that, because the flowers will wilt or whatever. So you have about a 2-week just dead time where you've got this huge, massive to-do thing coming up and looming, but there's nothing that you can really, in moving homes, it happens about the time that the mortgage approval comes through for either your house that you were buying or for the house, and these are usually connected, for the house that you were selling. Okay. Now you're in about a 2-week window between you don't have much to do because you're done with all the mortgage stuff and all the house hunting and all that busy work. But you're not going to actually move at the soonest you would move the day that you close. Right. And you can set it up that tightly if you need to. You can say, okay, I'm going to close in the morning. And so you go to closing and you sign all the documents. And then, your realtor or the title company sits there holding the keys, waiting until the transaction funds. Now, you've already put all of the money in escrow with various banks. So really, it is just a matter of the money all switching the banks and going where it needs to go. But then once it funds, that's what everybody calls it, it's yours. Really, it's yours once you sign the paper, but you're not
intents and purposes.
You're not going to go unpack your moving van. You're not going to get the keys until the money appears in your buyer's and your seller's account. Once it funds, it's yours. So, you could set up and you could do a closing to start at 8:00. Say you're done by noon. Closings take a while. You're done and it's funded by noon. Well, now you can go and you can unload your stuff.
Yep.
Okay. But in this 2-week dead time before that, while they're putting all that stuff together, that's when you need to do a whole lot of things, such as call the utility companies. One, for the house that you're in right now, because you're going to need to cancel all of your utility services for the day that you're moving, or the day that your lease ends, or the day that the date that you're closing on that property, whatever it is. And you need to set up your services. So if it's phone service or internet service, you might transfer your service. If you're moving somewhere totally different in the country, you might need to set up new service. But basically, you need to get all of your utilities from phone, internet, I say phone. I'm such a Gen Xer. I mean, now that's one thing that doesn't
You're
have
listening to a podcast and you have a landline in your house? The answer is no.
Okay. So internet, television, electricity, gas, sewage, water, all of these things, you need to get them set up at the new place, and you need to get them canceled at your own place. And those phone calls usually take a little bit more time than you think. And one of the things that I've run into with my property, so for instance, the cable company or the internet company in Austin is not, so I can't attach I have AT&T.
Right.
AT&T doesn't have the good fiber optic that I want in the area that we're going. So I'm going to go with another company. So I can't just transfer or add on to my current account.
Right.
But they also, the current owners there are using that same company, so they wouldn't actually activate my order even for, say, the August 6th start date until they had a cancellation order or a transfer order from the current owners. So sometimes this requires a little bit of coordination, and you need to talk to your realtor to talk to their realtor. Like all things life administration, this just has more details to it than you think. It takes a little longer. You cannot usually just go in and instantly set up, okay, I'm going to go into the trash service people and find that. Where you find this information, go to your seller's disclosure. So back when you were, searching for the house and stuff like that, one of the things they gave you was a seller's disclosure sheet that says everything that's kind of that they know about the property, whether the range is gas or electric, whether there are any pre-existing conditions to the property that they are required to tell you about, all that stuff. But also they have down in the seller's disclosures, they have a list of these are the utility companies that this property uses. Honestly, I usually ask the other realtor if the owner recommends those utility companies. If I'm moving, like last time when we moved to this house and we were just moving 1.5 miles down the road, frankly, I just added on service and used the same service that I had at my old house. For this one, when we're talking about a different city, I asked the current owners, are you happy with these services? And then I asked my real estate agent, are you happy with these services? But you can get a cheat sheet of this is what's already established at the house. And it's often easier to transfer the gas account just to say, okay, the gas account's going to stay there. The gas is still going to, but you're just switching it to my billing information and my contact information.
Definitely. Okay. Definitely.
Insurance at some point, and actually you probably needed to do insurance in order to get approval for the mortgage. Yep. So, but we're talking homeowners insurance here. So you have called a homeowners insurance company and you've talked about the value of that. They're going to ask everything from addresses to value in homes. They might go out and inspect it just to make sure that the roof is in the condition that it sounds like it's in. And you probably get a binder, which is a contract that basically says the insurance company has agreed to insure your property starting on the date of your closing, but that is usually paid for. Your first premium typically comes out when you're at closing. So that's another thing. When you go to closing, it's not just the house funds. You're also going to have to pay the title company for their search and for the title insurance. If you get a home warranty loan, that's going to be paid out. So there's going to be a couple of line item things that you were paying for at closing. Don't you dare knock our cameras over.
There you go. There we go.
There we go.
Yep. So, we had Set Destroy by Ro earlier, and she's making me quite nervous right now walking around. And so let me just throw the caveat out for renters is that renter's insurance, you want to have that set up. This is not a lot of places now, especially if you're moving into like a complex, like there was a bunch of apartments and stuff. They'll ask to make sure that you have renter's insurance. If you're living above Joe Bob's, whatever, they might not do that. Highly recommend that you have the renter's insurance because as we will get into, things break in a move.
Absolutely.
And we're not going to talk about it now.
Right.
But things break.
They do.
So there's no
pretty much that. I've never heard of a move that doesn't involve something that got lost or broken.
Yep. Which is baffling, but we'll get there. It's
kind of like socks in the dryer. You're like, how in the world could it, breaking in a move, you kind of get that, but the getting lost in a move, how it was in the back of a cabinet or somewhere. It just never got packed. It fell off the back of the truck.
Shady action. But before we talk about breaking things, let's talk about cleaning things.
Okay. Well, that's actually in here, but which part are you talking about cleaning?
I'm talking about arrange cleaning for your place, right? Sellers should provide a proper cleaning for your new home, right? So
I guess we are there. Yes.
Yeah, we are there.
So one of the things you need to arrange is when you are done packing up your stuff and your house is now empty, it needs a good proper cleaning. Yep. The toilets need to be clean. The sinks need to be clean. The floors need to be wiped. And, you need to leave it in good condition. Okay. And actually in some states, this is in the seller's contract that you provide a cleaning and stuff. And also it's the right thing to do.
The right thing to do.
It's the right thing to do. There are sometimes companies that specialize in this. There are certainly teenagers you can get to specialize in this. Wipe down the if your appliances that are built in are typically, unless accepted, left behind with the house. So that is why it is often the case that washers and dryers go with the sellers, and refrigerators and ranges do not, because usually kitchen appliances are built in, whereas other appliances are not. If you're leaving the appliances behind, give them a quick clean.
Yeah.
I mean, the only time I've not done it, and then I felt it was our last move, and we did a bit of a clean, but we thought they were going to be tearing down the house. And it wasn't until closing that I found out that actually he intended on renting it out for a few months before. I'm like, and now I'm at closing. I'm signing away my access to the house. And I'm like, I only did a cursory outside clean because
you might want to check the toilets. You know what I'm saying?
no, well, I mean, we did a few things like that, but like I didn't go through and wipe down the refrigerators and stuff like that. Okay. So I felt kind of bad about that, but at the same time I didn't know. And okay.
Can I say one thing here?
Yes.
We know that I'm a thrifty individual. This is one thing with all of my moves and stuff, because there is so much going on, and that this is sort of one of the last things that you're doing when you're getting your house right. This is a hire for me. And I just,
that is saying something, people.
Right. And that's why I wanted to say it.
And there are companies that specialize in it. Yeah.
And it's not very expensive. It's, how much is your time worth kind of thing. I'm a value sort of driven consumer. And, for $200, you can have the whole thing all done, and you can just forget about it, because it's just one less thing. Not everyone is and we're going to get into moving, like actual moving in a minute, but that has a lot of cost associated, whether you're packing on your own, whether you hire a company to move your boxes, or whether you have someone come in and pack the whole place, right? Like there is significant cost provided in there. And for me, that was an area that I wanted to save. And if I am in my 20s, I'm probably trying to save as much as I can for the move, because I want to spend that money when I get to my new house to buy my new things and all that sort of stuff. So this is an easy one for me to say, hey, you know what? I can outsource this. Right. No issues.
And two things on that too. It's also that kind of cleaning is, if you want to do it on your own, is a little bit easier. But that means that kind of cleaning, even if you get a crew in, it's a little bit cheaper than regular. It's easier to sweep a floor when there's no rugs and furniture to sweep around. Yep. It's amazing how much faster you can clean an empty house than one with tons of furniture. So that will be reflected in both your time and in the price. Yep. I personally am I'm also pay for that.
Yeah. Especially when you run down the list of what we just went through, utilities, insurance, and I won't go through the whole thing, but this is one thing that's kind of an easy, I don't need to think about it. I can put it off. Done deal. Just forget.
And then a 30-second commercial break about kind of the emotional stuff of a house. Okay. So let's say you're selling a house that you've lived in for 10 years. It's hard to pack up the house, because you're packing things up. And I'm not the kind of person that gets very emotionally attached to places. I've found it hard to pack things out, especially the last time that you're really looking around it before you start packing up the first box and breaking everything down. One of the reasons it's number 2 on the list of most stressful things is this emotional element. Once the house is empty, it tends to have an error. You realize that it's just a shell where the memories were made, that it's not actually your memories.
Right.
And there's a little bit of, once it's empty, you're a little bit done with it.
Yeah.
So it's another reason why I like to pay somebody to come in and do the last clean. Because frankly, I've got my mind now thinking about how I want to do everything. I'm not interested. I'm not going to be as good at it. And also I'm just kind of done with the and I need to be done with it because it's hard. It is hard to say goodbye, especially to what do you say? Maybe the cutoff is 3 years or so. I mean, unless you did something like have your first child in this apartment or get married in this apartment, a place that you lived for a year and a half, you don't draw as much attachment to as the place you lived for 10 years.
Yeah. And I think absolutely. And actually, when I was just recounting my moves, I forgot that we actually moved cross town in Portland from my wife and I, like our very first home. And what you said was ringing true to me. Once the stuff was gone, then all I saw were the problems of the house.
Yeah.
Right. All I saw were like, man, I could never fit the thing that I wanted over there, or there wasn't a cable line over there, or man, I hated when I had to go and take the dryer out because of the way that this laundry room was constructed. Right. All that stuff is still there, and you almost want to be like, oh, suckers, you don't know what you're getting into. Right. You don't know. But yeah, once the couch is out, the rugs are out, the pictures are down, it's a different ball game. And
it's
then
a building.
Yeah. Right. And so now we're actually on to the move. We've left the old house behind.
Right.
So let's talk a little bit about assessing your moving needs. I'm going to be quiet for this for the most part, but let me give my overarching statement when it comes to assessing your moving needs. It's always more than you think it is.
Amen.
Okay.
Absolutely.
You cannot overestimate this.
No, you can't
just
overestimate time. You can't overestimate materials needed, hassle, pain, stress.
Yep. So my overarching advice to this, it's pretty simple. I call it, you've heard me say in the job interview episode, it's like +1, right? So you're +1 everything. You +1 the way you dress. You +1 the way that you perform. You +1, right? So this is +1. Okay, I think we're gonna need van size, whatever, truck size, 26 feet. Newsflash, you need 30 feet. Okay.
Oh my gosh, we were just moving stuff from the ranch on Monday.
Yep.
That's exactly what we ran into. Because I'm going through, okay, we need this, this, and this, and we needed a 5 foot longer truck.
Yep.
To pack 6 things.
Yep. And I you know what?
Then I have to go back for.
Hey, you know what? We're good here. We got these 3 rolls of tape. No, you need 6 rolls of tape. Okay.
Yep.
You have 27 medium boxes. You need 47 medium boxes, right? So I would implore you, and I have figured this out. It took me a couple times, back to back to, no, this is not an area where you do not want to be having to go to the store to get certain things. You run out of boxes, whatever. This is like, get it done on the front end, be proactive, +1 thinking. That's my 2 cents. Take it away.
Totally second his 2 cents. Absolutely. All right. One of the first things you're going to need to do once you're locked in, because once you have the funding, now all of the, canceling the contract, all that kind of stuff, that's all behind you. So it's time to book the movers. And depending on what kind of city you're in, you might need to, they have, the good ones are sometimes full.
Yes.
So you need to get some lead time in. So go ahead and do it quickly. I also recommend getting word of mouth recommendations from people who have recently moved. You can go and look on Facebook or the website and stuff like that. But sometimes, they have, get word of mouth from movers. I've had the best movers ever. I've had the worst, but the nicest movers ever. All sorts of stuff can come in there. Okay. Now, you need to come up with a budget. You're going to be surprised at how much moving costs. And as Ryan said earlier, there are options for moving. I have boxed everything up. All I need you to do is come and load stuff into the truck and then take it to the new place and unload stuff. All right. I mean, by the way, and one level below that, you can just have all your buddies come and do it.
And that's what I was going to, I'll just interject here that pizza and beer is the perfect payment for moving, right?
Right.
Now,
if you're in a small apartment, if you're moving from a dorm or stuff like that, once you get into bigger moves, once you're talking a 4-bedroom house, pizza and beer is not going to cut it. Pizza and beer is great. You're still going to do the pizza and beer, but that's not going to cut it.
And honestly, when you're at the 4-bedroom house level, you should be having movers. You know what I mean? But if you are a single guy or a single gal, or maybe you don't have any kids, right? And it's we're going from, our apartment to our first house. Yeah, no, you're probably okay there. You know what I mean? You're probably okay.
Right.
And it is a great experience. You're with your friends. And so, Sean, our camera guy, my best friend in the world, he has moved with me every single time that I have moved.
Bless him.
And I have moved with him every single time that he has moved, right? We just, right. But we're too old for that now. We've already like said, like, no more, baby.
Well, and here, I'll give you 3 things on that. 1, when you're young and under 25 and strapping and stuff like that. 1, that's one thing. 2, when you have less stuff to move, it doesn't necessarily matter that you don't have as much experience getting the jigsaw puzzle in of the, not only of getting it all to fit in the truck, but getting it all to fit into the truck in a way that it doesn't jiggle and break. Okay.
Yes.
When you pay for professional movers, you're paying for that expertise.
You are.
The next thing you're paying for is professional movers have insurance. And by the way, you don't use professional movers that don't pay for movers that don't have insurance. You should make sure that they're bonded and insured. Because that means, and we'll get into some of the next ones in a sec, if they break something, they pay for it.
Yes.
So now we get into, you've packed all the stuff and they're moving on. The next one is, you've packed some of the stuff, the movers come in, and so your house, it's still, until moving day, your house is still put together. And they come in and they send 10 people and they wrap everything up, pack it, load it, unload it, unpack it, the whole thing.
It's beautiful.
It's beautiful. It's wonderful. It is, one, they know what they're doing. They're faster. They are... And if anything breaks, it's like if you touched it, if you're doing it, or if you're in there giving too much direction and saying, no, I want it done this way and stuff. Well, and then something breaks, and because they're like, well, we recommended that she wrap it up like this, but she didn't want to wrap it up like that. Okay. Then if the thing breaks, it's on your dime. If you are hands off, if this is in your budget to get this level of moving, and by the way, once you get north of 4-bedroom house, or once you get north really of 2-3-bedroom house, depending on how much furniture you have, also depending on, let's say maybe you're an antique collector.
Right.
Okay. Use real movers.
Or a video game collector.
Or a video game collector. Or a musician. Okay. That's another thing. You might have like, so here you're the musician guy and you're getting ready to move. Okay. Otherwise you have a 2-bedroom house that's pretty... just general, there's nothing too fancy in the way of furniture or anything that you're going to cry about. But man, your Taylor guitar, you pack that yourself.
You sure do.
Grandma's teapot, the things that you really care about, you go ahead and pack those yourself and put them in your car with you.
That's right. You got it. Took the words right out of my mouth. Definitely. So, all right, we talked about movers. We talked about the different types of movers, friends, move my boxes, pack the whole house for me. Let's talk about the timing of all of this. Now, it has been my experience that there is when you have, especially if you're moving like state to state, right? So I can remember moving from, I think it was Indianapolis to Round Rock. Yes. And that they gave me a date on when my stuff was going to arrive. And this was the first time that I'd always kind of done it myself before that, except that that was not actually a date that it arrived. It was the start date of when that's the first day that it could arrive. And so I got there with the stuff that I had in my car. I called the movers. I think it was Easter Sunday, and I was in my new place for 3 or 4 days. And I had a
sleeping
blanket.
on a sleeping bag.
I had a blanket. I was on the floor, and that was the end of it. So you got to be aware of these timing windows when you are involving third parties into your move. You are at the mercy of their schedule, because their truck that they're loading up, by the way, it doesn't just have your stuff on it, right? A lot of times when these big cross-state moves,
they will they'll bring the big, huge 18-wheeler to your place, load you up in the first third, which means they need to unload the other 2 clients first. And if that took longer...
Yep, you're in trouble. And so I spent 4 days with nothing. I mean, I had to go to the store, right? Talk about added expenses, right? Had to buy some pillows, had to buy a sleeping bag, had to buy toiletries, right? Because I only brought enough for a couple days. It was just like, absolutely awful. So just be aware.
And then on the other extreme, because Jim and I have done expat gigs a couple of times. So if you are moving overseas, typically you go on a plane, your house gets loaded up, you and your family go on a plane, and you should take some basic stuff with you for a couple of months, because most times moves like that are packed up, loaded in shipping containers, and they are shipped. So you're looking at 8 to 9 weeks. And that's, by the way, Houston to London, which is a pretty easy shot. Or you're looking at 8 to 9 weeks without your stuff.
Yeah.
Right. And then also it needs to be packed really, really well because it's going to be out on the high seas and tossing about. So you need it to be very safe. Mm-hmm. If you have a move like that, I almost insist on, well, most likely if your company is moving you overseas, they're going to supply. Right.
Or they'll give you a reimbursement or something like that.
Right.
When it comes to the timing for packing, so we're talking about figuring out your packing time. So this is one that I have when I have moved or I have moved other people. And let me just tell you, like, if you are in the stage of your life where you are getting friends to help you move, the biggest disservice that you can do to them is not be packed when they show up. Okay. And so you may think that you're packed, but when your friends come and they see your tchotchkes hanging out and you think, oh, that's no big deal. And that's no big deal. But these
big deals, there's no big deals add up.
They add up very, very quickly.
And you can spend the rest of the day packing the tchotchkes.
Yes. So we sort of talk about this 2-week lead time, right? If you're moving yourself or if you're packing yourself, my suggestion is every room needs 2 days. And I know that seems like a lot. I know that you're sitting here right now and you're thinking like that's crazy. But I am telling you, please let my mistakes be paid for, and you just get to take this knowledge and run with it. It takes about 2 days, so that it should take you about 2 weeks to pack up your house. And then when friends come over, moving company comes over, right? And oh, by the way, if movers come over and they see all your stuff packed, man, they're happy.
Yep.
Right? They're happy. They're going to be moving. If you need to make some kind of like zigzag in the plan, they're probably more likely to do it because you saved them a bunch of time on the front end. So like you have to be prepared when it comes to this. Things are going to happen. So, okay. Like I said, I had things to say and there's like these things burning inside me. I'm like, you need time to pack.
You do. You need, and because again, I have a 3-year cutoff rule. It is amazing how, if you have been in a place for 3 years, it is amazing how much you open up a cabinet and stuff just keeps coming out, stuff that you forgot about. So it takes much longer to pack than you think it's going to take. Also, start going from priorities. So let's kind of think timing through things. So first of all, one of the first things you can pack up is your tchotchkes and stuff like this. Okay. The last things you're going to pack up are your kitchen and your bathroom.
Yep. Definitely.
Okay. Also, when you're packing up, you need to pull aside. This is why it's important to think through the timing. Okay, I'm going to be at my new place for a day without my stuff, a week without my stuff, 6 weeks without my stuff. What things do you need? What clothes, what bedding, and what toiletries, and then your coffee pot. Always put that in last. What things do you need to have with you? You need to pack those up separately. I usually pack those first. So the stuff that I'm really going to take, that I have to have and take with me, I like to pack those up first and set them aside. Yep. Maybe not your toiletries. You're going to pack those the night before you move, but you're going to set that aside. And by set it aside, I mean, go ahead and put it in your car.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. So that it does, because here's the thing, if you've had movers come in, or even if you have friends and stuff like that, if it's boxed up and it's on the floor, or even if it's not, and they're like, okay, if you're not there to answer their question, they're going to box it up. If you've hired professional movers, I'm telling you, I've had friends that have gone, if you don't get the trash out fast enough, the trash gets boxed up. Okay.
They don't play.
They don't play. They pack everything that's left in the house. They pack up. But yeah, go ahead, figure through what you need to take with you, set that aside. Otherwise, pack things up from all of your decorative stuff, then slowly to your things that you use every day, which is your dishes and your toothbrushes and such like that.
Yep.
Okay.
Definitely.
And I love the idea of doing a room at a time.
Yep.
And really, because here he says it takes 2 days. Well, that's because you haven't taken 2 weeks off of work or off of your life to do this. So we're talking about, the 2 hours after you get home from work and all that kind of stuff. It takes 2 days to pack up each room.
Yep. And to do it in a way that doesn't stress you out, right?
Right.
Yeah, no, hey, you want me to pack this room up in 45 minutes? No problem. But I'll be sweating. I'll be hungry. I'll be cranky. I won't be any fun to be around.
Four of the things will be broken if we're lucky.
And it's not going to be, it's like you want to make this as easy as you possibly can. And it's just once you accept the fact that this is going to take a long time, just embrace it and run with it. So, okay, so now we're talking about our travel time. All right, so we've packed up our stuff. Hopefully, everything is good to go.
It's loaded in the car. Oh, do I have that on here?
Do you have it on here?
Okay, no, I'll get to that. Because ways to load things, but that's in the next section.
Yep.
Okay, good.
So yeah, we're gonna get into some of the specifics on like how to do that, but we're just the timeline is now. So we've got the stuff packed, and now we're moving, right? So we're actually driving now. If you are driving, so again, I got things. If you are driving from one location to another, every move that I have ever had, something has gone wrong on the road. Now that could be luck for me, but I would be willing to bet that if you moved 3 times, one of those times, something as bad is going to happen. I have blown tires. I have cracked engine blocks. I've had windshield wipers. Right? Windshield wipers. I think I even told that story,
I think you did one. Right? Yeah, because y'all were going through a snowstorm and there's...
we're doing this, right? And we can't drive as fast as we wanted to because like our hands would freeze, right? So there's going to be something. And again, you have to just say, all right, if I could do the classic, oh, dude, I can make that drive in 6 hours.
Not with all your stuff, you can't.
Yo, when you are moving, a 6-hour drive takes 10 hours. Right? It's not quite double the time, but it's significantly more, right? The van or the truck or whatever doesn't go as fast. You're going to hit traffic at some point. You're going to be in an area. You're going to make
You're not going to want to drive as aggressively fast because you're worried about like just the idea of having your dog and your stuff in the back. You're driving more cautiously so things don't get jostled. Okay? That, if you're on a 6-hour drive, that adds an hour and a half easy.
And oh, by the way, what if you're towing your car, right? And you got to put a dolly on the back of your car. So now all of a sudden you're bombing down the highway in your car. Normally you're going 75, 80. You know, we're in Texas. We go a little bit faster than most. But that car, that van, that truck, it's going 55 miles an hour.
Yep.
And like you're not changing lane. You can't just like, oh, this guy's going slowly in front of me. So you change lanes and you zip around him. You pick a lane and you stay with it. And oh, by the way, what about that hill that's going up on an incline of 30, 40 degrees where all of a sudden now your truck is going like top speed? I mean,
you're hoping it's not going backwards.
You're hoping it's not going backwards. Pedal to the floor. Come on, baby. Let's go. And it's just like, it's not happening. And these are all things that when you're planning the trip out, you have no idea that this is what the reality is. So,
and you're going to be more stressed, which means you're going to need to go to the bathroom more often. You're probably going to eat more.
All the things.
All the things. Well,
I never thought I was going to get so passionate about moving. I just cannot believe it.
Life administration brings it out in you, Ryan.
Gosh.
There you go.
I just don't want anyone to go through some of the things that I had gone through. And now, you know, after 8 moves, I got it down pretty well. But before that, yikes. Okay. Anyway.
So most likely, if you're moving any distance, or not most likely, perhaps you're going to need to overnight somewhere. If you have hired a moving company, they have places that they can stop along the way and they can take their truck and they can put it in a secure location. If you're going to be stopping at some Holiday Inn kind of motel or what, and you don't want to unload all the stuff in your car, petty thieves are aware of the fact that people with stuff in their cars. You need to think about where you're going to park, you know, things like, you know, backing into a space so that the lift gate on the back of your car can't come up, all that kind of stuff, putting shades over your window so people can't see that you've got your fancy Taylor guitar in the back, whatever else. Think through some of the security issues.
Yeah. You know, just as I'm thinking through, you want to be parking under lights. You want to be parking where close to the front desk, so someone has, not that it's their job to watch your car, but you know, if you're parking on the side of a building where there's no lights, you're a much easier target. Where if there are lights and the front desk can see your car, that sort of thing. Also, like, it should go without saying, but if you are moving yourself, like, you need a good lock on the back of the truck. I'm not talking like you go to, wherever Joe's convenience store down the road, you buy yourself a $2.99 master lock. It's like, no, you need something that's reinforced that like some amateur just can't come cut that and then start taking things out of your truck if you're moving yourself. You need something that is heavy duty, that's made for moving. And you're going to look at the locks and you're going to go, if you're cheap like me, you're going to say, oh, this lock is $2.99 and this lock is $14 or $15. But again, being a value conscious consumer, the $8 more to make sure that I protect all of my life, that's a good insurance bet then versus just the $2.99 lock. So
yep.
I would highly advise you to make sure that you're doing that as well. So,
because theft does happen during a move.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
World's a broken place.
Yeah, I've been fortunate enough to take those precautions no matter what situation I was in. So but I have heard, right, a lot of times you don't have to throw a stone to hear someone's moving horror story. That's absolutely sure. So what about unpacking? So let's talk about the timeline for unpacking.
Kind of do the same +1 that we're talking about for packing things up. It takes longer than you think it does.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would add to that when I was younger, I would just let me get to the house, right? And I would get to the house and I would set up what I would call my essentials. Okay, the sofa's up, TV's up, food is kind of in the right spot. Okay, I'm good. And then I would go on, I would be working. And my plan would be that I'll just unpack as things go, this, right? Yeah, no, I know.
I'm waiting to pounce.
Yeah. That was an error.
Right. All right. There is a process from this. And I have to thank somebody else for teaching me that I'd kind of sort of gotten to it myself. And then I was telling her this when I was getting ready to do the last move, that I would want to do it that way. She's like, and she's a decorator, by the way. And she's like, oh my gosh, there's no other way to do it. That's the way you do it. So she's moved tons of people and she's like, this is how you do it. Okay. And now we're getting into segment 2 and we're doing the actual move. So do you want to talk about the unpacking now or do you want to talk about the...
Hey man, I'm just going by your notes.
You're going by, I know. I'm just noticing that my notes are slightly out of order for me.
Let's go through the timeline. We'll finish the timeline. And then we'll talk like specifically on the hows and just the how.
Okay,
right? And
got it. So we'll get into the how in just a second. Yep. But yes, there is a proper way to unpack both the truck and your stuff.
Yes.
And it gets it done. And you saw me last time in this house, 5-bedroom house, and I had it unpacked and party ready in 10 days.
I was going to say it was less than 2 weeks.
Yeah.
It was beautiful.
It was painful. Let me tell you, after that party, I sat down for a month and I was like, nobody talked to me about a throw pillow. Nothing. I don't want to hear a thing about any of it because that was hard, but it can be done.
Yeah, absolutely. So the moral of the story is do it all as fast as you can. I mean, I think
but we're going to get into there's a specific way to do it as fast as you can. But now we're into the actual move.
Okay, now we're into the actual move. Okay.
All right. It is moving day. Yeah. Okay. I mean, for purposes of this, I'm going to assume that you've closed already, because a lot of times people will close, but they don't actually move for a week or so because maybe they're painting or whatever. Okay. Oh, got it. All right. Remember, if you have movers moving in the house, they will pack everything. So I'm slightly out of order here. Before you've done all of this, you should have done a big color. Before you ever started moving, that should have been up there in the thing. Before you ever packed a single thing, you should have done a call.
Yeah.
Getting rid of stuff. If you don't want to move it, if you're not going to use it, donate it, trash it, give it to your best friend. Get it out of the house. Get it out of the house. Okay. So movers come in and you've either packed everything up or they are packing everything up. Okay. Pack securely. Heavier items on the bottom, more fragile items on the top. But think about overall box weight because you're like, oh yeah, I can totally fit all of this in the box. But now it's a box that you kind of have to wrap your hands around and it weighs 100 pounds. And nobody but a Terry Crews kind of strong guy is going to be able to lift it without injury.
Right.
Okay. Don't So you have to be kind of aware of all of those things. Again, this comes with experience. I'm sure 7 moves guy. Don't fill up all the books. All the books in a single box.
No. Or you have a friend that
shall remain nameless.
Oh no, I'm going to call him out right now.
Oh, okay.
my friend Jay, when we were moving into Indianapolis, it was the day the Patriots were playing the AFC Championship game. Anyway, I'm not gonna, but he's decides that he's Mr. Strongman and that he can take up my TV stand. Now remember, TVs at this point.
This is back when you had tubes.
Yeah,
so TVs are big, bulky, and pretty heavy.
And the stands that had to go on them are also big, bulky, and heavy. But my man goes, T, no problem. I can take this up by myself. You just keep doing what you're doing. My man makes it up 5 steps, and then I hear the biggest crash and shatter and all right. Talk about messing up your timeline. We were supposed to watch the game. And 30 minutes from that, we're in the hospital. This dude's he's hopped up on drugs. Yeah, he's on drugs. He's got stitches. I can remember like the nurses taking him into the room. It's one of my favorite quotes of all time. And all these nurses are around him. He's all drugged up and they're all like poking and prodding him. And he just goes, ladies, there's more enough of me to go around or something like that. You know, I'm just like, I'm mortified. I'm like, I'm going to kill this man. I am going to absolutely kill this man. There's more enough of me to go around. Oh my goodness. So yeah.
Ketamine will make you say funny things.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, right. And I mean, he was very apologetic, but I obviously still hold a little bit of an issue 14 years later. Okay.
Well, because also, even after all of this, now you still have to go. You have to get your friend is now seriously injured and needs care.
Yep.
Then there's the cleanup before you can move anything else because shards of glass around. You don't want anybody else getting hurt. No. Oh, by the way, now you've just bought yourself another TV unless you just don't want to watch anything for the
And I was it's playoff time football. Like, hello. So
that is painful.
He did not get pizza and beer.
No, he got ketamine and nurses.
Did. Yeah, he did. Anyway,
all right.
Go ahead.
Now, you think through the packing order of what you're loading into the truck by thinking through how you're going to unload it. Mm-hmm. So when you get to your new place, you are going to want to have some basic kitchen stuff like your coffee maker, instantly accessible. Mm-hmm. You're going to want to have your beds, and probably your major furniture, like couch and stuff like that, major seating and stuff. Also, think through if you have area rugs, go ahead and put those in last. So all the Schotskys, the boxes of stuff and decoration, those go all the way in the back of the van to be, they get loaded first because they're going to be unloaded the last. All right. And then go work it out until at the end, you've got your area rugs, your mattresses, and a box with your coffee maker if you haven't put it in the car.
Yep.
Right. And then you've mostly taken the toiletries and stuff with you. But that way, when you get to the new place, then you are pulling out first the area rugs and the mattresses and the coffee maker. And now you have a place to sleep. You have and the area rugs, obviously, because it's a pain in the butt to put the area rugs under the sofa after you've already got put. This is one of those times that you can. Okay. Got it.
So let me say this. Do not be the person that they get all their boxes together and then they just go in the truck and they just start stacking boxes. And then all of a sudden you have things like this chair and you have, this lamp and you have all of these things that are oddly shaped and that you find that your truck is not really big enough because you packed it improperly, right?
You need to be able to working some of the odd shaped things into some of the little gaps. Again, this is one of the advantages to professional movers because they do this all the time and they know what works, they know what doesn't work, and they know what will not have your stuff jostle so much that it gets broken.
Yeah, boxers should be like almost like packing like peanuts, like you're sort of like kind
they
of
help
putting
with stability for the other things.
And there's something about when you're like loading like all the boxes, like okay,
it's simple, it's easy. They
take
stack.
the box, throw it on the truck, stack it up, and next thing you know, you're having to take the boxes down. You got to put this thing in. You got to throw the box underneath the chair. Okay, this box is going to go on top. Table's going to go upside down. Yeah.
Also, boxes, heavier boxes on the bottom, lighter boxes on the top.
Please, y'all, physics. right? I'm just,
Physics. Totally.
Yeah.
Physics plays in moving. So all that times that your physics teacher and your math teacher were like, and you were snarking to them about, I'm not going to need that. Oh yeah, you will.
If you move yourself, I can guarantee you within the first 3 turns, you're going to take a turn and you're going to hear in the back and you go, well, I hope everything's okay back there.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you pull the door up and it's like, okay, so how many items did we lose here? I'm a little bit of exaggeration there, but you're going to hear some funny noises anyway. Yep.
Also, because since you've got boxes kind of mixing up and stuff like that, when I pack, I usually pack in the room, leave the boxes in the rooms that they're in. And before moving day, go through Sharpie. Don't just label one side, label multiple sides. That it's this room. And by the way, label it for the room that it's going to at the new place, not the room that it was in before.
Yes. Great. I would have forgotten about that, honestly.
I did forget to put it in the show notes, and that's why I'm bringing it up now. It should be up in the
super good
stuff.
advice. All right, so I'll just put this in here when it comes to getting materials. Y'all, you can go to the U-Haul place and buy the boxes and all that sort of stuff, but you could also just go to your grocery store and use some life administration and go talk to the manager and say, manager, I'm moving. Do you have any boxes that you haven't thrown into the garbage disposal or the compressor today? And they'll say, no problem. Let me give them to you.
They're happy to give them to you.
And you will, guys, I'm not kidding when I tell you hundreds of dollars is what boxes cost, and you can get them for $0. A lot of times, go ahead.
The age of Amazon. Also, you're moving in a month, start saving all your Amazon boxes instead of breaking them down.
Yep.
Or you can even break them down temporarily and then double tape the bottoms. Always double tape the bottoms. When you're labeling, try to put arrows on so that they know which side is up, but you don't want the box breaking open while you're carrying it. Yeah, you can save boxes for a month. Again, free.
Same thing. And then specialty boxes, like maybe you had to buy a wardrobe box because there's some boxes that you just have to buy.
Wardrobe boxes are much easier for clothes. They really, really are.
They are. And, because it's a closet, maybe you only have to get 6, 7, 8, you don't have to get a ton of them. They're not like your normal medium boxes, that are your catch-all, but those are boxes that you can save, right?
Right.
Save them up, break them down, keep them nice, put them in the corner.
Pay it forward, give it to the new person down that you just met that they're getting ready to move or
whatever. But that's not.
You can also borrow those. So if somebody down the street just moved, hey, you have any closet boxes left?
Yep. Absolutely. So you just don't go out and be like, okay, I need X, I need Y, and I need Z. And you go, I need to go buy all of these things. And you add your moving budget up and you go, wow, before a box even gets on the truck, $800, $900, $1,000 into this bad boy. You can significantly save on those expenses if you just start going and asking, hey, you know what? Maybe Kroger, they say no, but maybe HEB says yes. You just got to get out there and ask, and it's worth it, guys. It's worth it to just go out and get some boxes that aren't being sold. What other tips?
Okay. If possible, have one person go ahead to the unloading zone, leave one person behind. So if it's a husband and wife team, somebody goes ahead for the unloading and make sure that that place is clean and that the other people have, because every once in a while you're going to find somebody who didn't clean it, and now somebody needs to go through, because you're going to want to unload your stuff anyway, so you at least need to get the floors swept, etc.
Yep.
So someone goes ahead to direct the unloading, somebody stays behind and is directing the loading, and then also stays behind. I've had a couple of times where we've missed a cabinet.
Absolutely.
Right. So it was like when you're leaving a hotel and you check under the beds and you check all the drawers before you check out. Same thing. You need to have somebody that's doing the backup.
The final sweep, as it were.
If you have pets, I highly recommend while you're doing the move, if you can either get in-laws or parents or a friend, somebody to let them go play somewhere else, even if you put them in a kennel for a night. If you have pets, you know this. Pets find moves very stressful, but Your doors are always open. People are moving around with heavy stuff. They're stressed. They can get out. And the last thing you need is, oh my gosh, my dog escaped while I'm trying to get out of my old house and into my new one. So if you can, try to make some accommodations to get them out of the way.
Yep.
Okay.
Definitely.
Now, the actual unpacking. So from what we were talking about before. Okay. Once you've packed everything out and you've got you've put your rugs in first, because we talked about your rugs and your beds and your essential kitchen stuff and essential bathroom stuff. Those things come out first. Okay. After that, you want to get move when you're first unloading. Move things into the room that they belong in. Okay. So get your furniture. Don't arrange it yet. Don't sit there and kind of like, oh no, I want it 6 inches over to the left. Just get it in the room. Okay. Once you have the major furniture in the room, then you start to unload the lamps and the accessories and stuff again, just get it into the room, in the middle of the room, whatever. On the major furniture, now you've got the boxes coming in. So before I touch anything, once I've got the major furniture and accessories in the room, you might take a break then to just go through and arrange. So, okay, I want that bed over there. I want the 2 nightstands over there. So go ahead and get the furniture set. You can fine tune and adjust later. Okay, so really if it's 6 inches off of where it needs to be, unless it's some fancy piece of something that you need 3 people to move, go ahead.
Yeah.
Get it where it generally needs to be. Now you're bringing in the boxes full of the tchotchkes and the decorative stuff and the pictures and everything like that. Okay. Put them in the room that they belong in. So load all the kitchen boxes on the kitchen counter. Okay, and on the island. Load all the boxes that go in the dining room on the dining room table that you've already got set up. Put the living room boxes on the living room or on the coffee table and maybe on the couch and stuff like that. Okay. Then starting with bathrooms and kitchens and bedrooms, then start to reverse unpack. So unpack a box, put the stuff away in the space that it goes, get the box out. The more stuff that you can get out, the more trash you can get out the day of, the better off you're going to be. Now, if you have, 12 buddies over, or you've hired a large moving crew over, you can then say, okay, you in this room, 2 in here, 2 in here, however you want to work it. If you're doing it yourself, then you're going to go through and do it room by room, but have all your furniture and everything else, put the boxes in the room they belong in, and then the reverse of what you did for packing. You're going to spend 2 days unpacking your kitchen.
Yep.
You're going to spend 2 days unpacking your bathroom. Get the trash out as you unload it, so that because otherwise the trash can just stack. Moving trash can stack up so very much. It's going to take, if you're doing it yourself, it's easily going to take 2 weeks.
Absolutely.
And that's just to get the stuff out of the boxes and in the general cabinets that it needs to. That's not including things like pictures on the wall.
Yeah.
I actually suggest because you have this idea that, oh, well, that picture goes in that room. Okay. Honestly, I would put all of your pictures pick a wall in your house that doesn't have any furniture up, and load up all of your wall artwork along it. Because you might find that some of it goes in different spaces.
Yeah. So let me cut you off real fast.
Okay.
Because we're at 58 minutes.
Oh, shoot.
And we still have a couple things to talk about. So what we're going to do is we're not going to make this like a full 2-parter where it's like we release part 1 week and then part 2 the next week. I'm going to put a quick cut in it right here.
Okay.
And then what we're going to do is we'll just post the last 10 minutes right after. Okay. So that's what we're going to do. So you guys just
we have
hang
an
on.
hour posting limit.
Yeah.
So.
And because I'm cheap, I don't want to spend the extra money for the day. I'm like, no, we can just put a quick cut, and we're never really going to go over an hour except on, moving day, apparently. So,
we did on mortgages too.
Yes, we did. But that was,
that was enough for a 2-parter.
Exactly. Yeah. And this is going to be a little bit less. So I'm just going to wrap it up really quickly. My name is Ryan Talon. You can find me on Twitter, RyanTaillon. Visit us on lifeadministration.com. If you're listening to this on really any podcast. That's what we do. Any podcast platform, please just 5-star rating, leave some comments. We would really, really appreciate it. It helps us out. If you're watching on iTunes, click the subscribe button. And you know what? Something else I'm going to add is, why don't you click that little bell notification right there so you get an email notification when a new episode comes up, so you can come listen to us right away, like somebody did on the last episode. I couldn't even post the thing fast enough. This guy, whoever it was, just was like consuming the content, which was really nice to see. So, all right, Leslie, finish it up for us. We got 40 seconds.
I'm Leslie Loftus TX at Twitter, and you can email us at Ryan or Leslie at Life Administration. And it's been great having you. And we have a few more moving tips in the 10-minute follow-up that we'll do after this.
So we'll see you in about 2 seconds. Make sure you just go ahead. Actually, just leave this one playing, and we'll go right to the next one. So we'll see you in about 10 seconds. Bye, y'all.